Finally, Frank, we're seeing an increased focus on loyalty as brands adjust to the data privacy laws and data deprecation practices across the globe. Can you talk? There's a really important aspect of loyalty, and it is the data, the underlying data that you're able. One opts into a program, they acknowledge that they're part of a program, they allow themselves to be tracked and known. And so can you talk about the role of data and insights in programs that you've led, and any pointers for marketers who are struggling to collect and or use this data?
I think there's a real dichotomy with data, which is it's a marketer's best friend and it's their worst enemy, in that you can become overwhelmed with it. You can, I've seen a lot of folks that just because the technology can collect the data, the question always is, well, what are we going to do with this data? Why are we collecting it? And what is this going to enable relative to enhancing that one-to-one relationship? And so I think you need to take a very, very hard look at what are the outputs that it's back to what loyalty is an output. What is the end game here? And collect only the data that is helpful to that end game. And it doesn't mean you need Hadoop clusters necessarily, depending on what your goals are. Now, the positive of all of that is as technology and artificial intelligence progresses, we're becoming much smarter at getting to what I believe is inevitably the end game, which is to use technology to recreate a human one-to-one relationship. The best loyalty is the old butcher shop of yore, where you walk down the street and you walked into a butcher shop and the butcher knew you by name and they knew what was going on with your kids and they had a conversation and they know how you like your, pork loin cut, and on occasion, if you're feeling right, they're happy to suggest a new cut of meat. Because they've built this relationship, and at the end of the day, that's what we're trying to get the technology to do, and it's the right data for that, and not the wrong data.
Yeah, totally agree. To add on to that, so all the data privacy laws that are coming more and more and more frequently, and the sensitivity around our privacy, loyalty is actually becoming a secret weapon. Because it's no longer I'm tracking you and you really don't know it. It's now you've allowed me. So Sumit, what's your perspective on data, insights, privacy, but most importantly, how to unleash this data efficiently and effectively?
Thanks, Jim. And I think that's a great point that you've touched upon. You talk about data, and then that's the first thing that you got to look at. Now, if you look at Europe, you've got GDPR kicking in, the policies around managing data. But if I was to just look beyond just that, one question that a brand needs to answer is, who owns the data? The simple answer to that is that the data is actually owned by the customer. The brand is just managing the data to create insights about that customer and then engage with that customer. And that's the truth about it. There is a bit of a narcissist in every human being, and what's in it for me. And I think taking that insight from that data and giving it back to that person is that in for me in that data that any human being would ever want. And that's just a very simplistic view of what I would have said. It's that is just the true essence of it. Now, how do you play it in real life? The data points have come in. You've collected data based on either a transaction or in terms of a touch point. As I said, browsing data, clickstream data, e-commerce data points coming in, and you've taken it into your own central data platform where you've enrich that customer's data to create, enriched personas, and that goes beyond basic simple RFM, recency, frequency, and monetary segmentation. You create segmentation which is more enriched, and henceforth you've got different personas, etc., etc. So marketers, when they've got these different personas, thanks to the data collection that has happened via loyalty, are then able to create conversations which are targeted for these customers. And that's where I will come in. Create engagement about the customer by talking what the customer wants to listen and what is meaningful for them. And I think that's the simple, clear takeaway. That whilst you're managing a customer's data based on different privacy laws, and that is what it should always be. The brand should always be managing the data for the customer on the rights that the customer has given, and should be able to delete it should a customer want that to be deleted, and comply with those rules and regulations, the law of the land. But once you've got it, you are able to farm out those key insights from that data, and then leverage it to create meaningful one-to-one conversations and get them to engage more. Marketing journey used to be transform customers, or rather consumers to a customer, to a brand ambassador. That's how it used to be loosely stitched. And the way you now leverage loyalty and this data input, and that's what my last bit to marketers would be, that from consumers to customers, to loyalty customers, to brand ambassadors, and finally to brand custodians. That's the journey that a marketer should look at, from a consumer to a brand custodian lens, and create meaningful conversations. And as I say always, touch the heart, create an emotional bond, and move away from the transactional connect.